Hi, my name's Tony Burgess. I'm a seafarer. Just remembering the sacrifices that our previous seafarers gave. They gave everything, the ultimate.
MIch-Elle, happy World Maritime Day!
Hi, Darren Duckworth, MUA, Ring and Foal, Sydney branch, merchant seafarer, going on 40 years. I'm just here to recognise World Maritime Day, here to pay my respects to all the fallen seafarers on the Noongar and any other ship and through World War II.
MUA! MUA! MUA!
All of the things that we do, everything we touch every day has come to us in some way by a ship. The Merchant Navy, it carried those cargoes, it still carries those cargoes. It's one of those things that's right in front of us, but yet it's invisible.
Well, I'm delighted to be here today. I think I've been attending these functions for about, 30 years anyway. We're a maritime nation, and the more we promote that, the better to the younger generations, and how reliant we are on shipping. How reliant we were in the Second World War, how reliant we were on merchant ships.
The next wreath is to be laid by Tamara Husband. It's dedicated to the men and women who sail on the hire ships in those great convoys. Tankers full of high-octane petrol, ammunition ships down to their marks with thousands of tonnes of high explosives, iron ore and lead carriers so distressed by concentrated weight that their keels would snap and death dive in seconds.
Just to celebrate what went before us. A lot of people have done a lot of work before us. A lot of people had a lot of sacrifices before us. So just honour and keep their memory alive, that's all. That's what it's all about. It should be all over the world, it should be bigger.
Today we celebrate World Maritime Day. We recognise and acknowledge those who have served in the Australian Merchant Navy. We recognise those that have lost their lives, as well as their families and communities that lost loved ones.
The significance of the day is the contribution that the maritime industry makes, not only to the Australian economy, but the world economy, but the workforce, the hidden workforce. It's almost like a secret workforce in some regards. Tens of thousands of seafarers around the globe plying their trade day in and day out. And just how hard a job and a harder life it is. You're away from home for long periods of time, socially isolated. They really are the unsung heroes of the world economies.
It's important to remember why we fight for an Australian shipping industry. It's important to make sure that we remember the terrible incidents that have happened, like the MV Noongar that's just been found by the RV investigator 50 years later.
It is appropriate to recognise the ship Noongar and those who lost their lives on that ill-fated voyage between Newcastle and Townsville. Tragically, 21 out of the 26 crew on board that ship lost their lives.
The investigator was the ship that found it. While we lost members of our union back then, it was also our members that were manning the investigator, crewing the investigator, that found them. We've continuously been a maritime industry, and yet we've had governments of all kinds of persuasions try to deny that we're a maritime nation. They say we're a nation of shippers, we say we're a shipping nation, and it's things like the Noongar that actually bring that home, because it records that continuous participation in the maritime industry.
The next wreath today, friends, will be laid in honour of the MV Noongar by Jay Deakin. And this wreath is dedicated to those 21 seamen who lost their life when the Noongar went down off Smoky Cape on the 25th of August 1969.
The maritime industry's been very close to my heart, and it's been something I've been involved or a part of for 22 years. And I've been blessed with the opportunities I've had, just within the industry here in Sydney. But I know how many hearts the maritime industry touches across the world.
The next wreath is going to be laid by Sydney Branch Secretary Paul Keating. It's in memory of all seafarers who have served in the Australian Merchant Navy in times of both peace and war, who have spent a lifetime in the dedication to the better.
From everyone I've met that's within the industry, just genuine good people with good hearts, and also have common goals, and that's what makes me proud to be a Maritime Union member, of the MUA, and also being involved with anything to do with the maritime.
The next wreath will be laid by Sister Mary, a deserving recipient of the Order of Australia, unswerving and tireless work for world seafarers, who visit the port of Sydney.
Now, in the shipping industry, I think there's an awful lot of greed, and the seafarers suffer and communities suffer, particularly poor workers suffer from other countries where they have no voice.
An Australian ship that
I like to honour the work of the Maritime Union in Australia and the ITF for their continued support of, as they call them, foreign workers, who one could probably argue have taken Australian jobs, but the Maritime Union still supports them in their quest for justice and dignity.
The next wreath will be laid by Bobby Lee. It's to the ships of shame and dedicated to those who went down in those ships.
Never ceases to amaze you to the lows that some employers in this industry can go. Probably some of the worst employers in the world, some of the most exploitative rotations on ships, and some of these employers should have administrators placed over them rather than unions. There should not be excuse making for these employees. They should be weeded out, they should be exposed.
The next wreath is to recognise the bombing of Darwin and will be laid by Darren Duckworth.
We're an island nation. At the moment we haven't got a merchant navy, and you've seen what happened during COVID. Nothing come into the country. If we'd had our own ships, we could have sent them worldwide and picked up all the stuff we needed. I think the government realises that now, and sooner or later the penny's going to drop, and we'll have to go back to having a merchant navy.
The Australian seafarers will continue to play a vital role in the country moving forward.
Until we're up the gangway, then I'll smile about it. Until then, but yeah, there will be a future.
There has never been a good war, nor a bad peace. The next wreath is to be laid by Bill Giddens, and it's dedicated to the memory of Australia's worst maritime disaster, when the hospital ship Centaur was torpedoed and sunk near Brisbane in 1943. The terrible number of lost doctors, nurses, orderlies, deck officers, engineering officers, seamen, bruisers, cooks and stewards is a terrible indictment to the madness of war. Its terrible carnage of life and indescribable destruction of humankind's finest creations.
It's a great day of remembrance, and it's a great day to be here with everybody, and Maritime Day forever.